Zacks Rank Buys, stocks with a short-term buy or strong buy recommendation. Now, here are more Zacks Rank Buys. Let's check out where the value is on a couple of value stocks, shall we? With Tracy Rennick, our value stock analyst at Zacks.com. You've brought a couple of interesting candidates up for discussion here today.
I have.
A couple that you really have not talked about, I don't think, since you and I have been doing this.
No.
Goldman Sachs Group, GS, the ticker symbol. Where is the value here?
Well, Goldman, it's interesting because you wouldn't think of Goldman Sachs as a value stock.
Not with what's going on today.
Right. The financials have gone up huge since March. It's just you wouldn't think with this stock that has also run up quite a bit that it would be under the value category. But the earnings estimates are also jumping substantially. So when you have the jump in the earnings and they're actually producing the earnings, because this last quarter they had the huge beat of over 40%. They had a record revenue, as everyone knows, with the trading soaring 93%.
Right.
So the earnings are jumping, the estimates are going up, and so even as the stock is climbing, the PE is not that bad. It's a little over 10 times earnings. So, it's actually attractively valued here.
Interesting.
Yeah, it has, the stock has surged, but again, it's not crazy according to the chart. It got a little boost off those earnings from like a week ago or a week and a half ago. But it's still fairly attractive here, given that analysts are expecting about 15 times estimates or earnings for the year on the stock. So,
what about the stock price? Anything in particular going on there?
No, I mean it's jumped, but it's not overly crazy compared to some of the other financials. Had the sell-off, and then it's rebounded off of that, but it hasn't been crazy rebounds. So that's why it's still fairly attractively valued here.
All right, and then recently you also wrote about Western Digital Corporation, WDC, the ticker symbol.
Yes, people might be a little less familiar with this company, but they probably use its products every day.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, it's the second largest maker of hard drives, which are found almost everywhere, it seems, these days. And this stock is kind of interesting because it got killed with everything else during the big sell-off.
Yep.
But technology has been rebounding, and we've seen kind of somewhat mixed results from Apple and Microsoft, but in the hard drive category, there's been some good positive things coming forward. And the stock isn't super expensive. It's trading at about 13.9 times forward earnings. It has seen a big rally, bigger than the Goldman Sachs that we were just talking about. It's nearly tripled off of its lows now. But earnings estimates are also rising, so we're seeing that the valuation isn't too bad. The stock is expected, or the company is expected to report earnings tomorrow, the day after we record this on July 28th. So we're going to get obviously the good idea then. But analysts are pretty bullish, and about 5 analysts have raised going into the number in the last 30 days. So whether or not this chart is supportive of what's going to happen with the earnings, we'll soon see.
I think probably the most telling statement in your whole piece here on Western Digital is that Western Digital continues to generate cash.
Yes.
And that today has to be the bottom line.
Yes, they have a pretty big cash hoard actually sitting there, and that's also a great positive thing in this kind of economic environment, because if you got cash, cash is king.
Absolutely, in any environment.
Exactly.
That's one thing that hasn't changed.
No.
Do you own either of these two?
I do not.
All right, if you want to read more about value stocks that Tracy's written about in the recent past, or you want to see some of our stock picks in other investing categories, go to the upper right-hand corner of Zacks.com's homepage. That's where we list 4 new Zacks Rank Buy investment stock picks per day. And you can take your pick as to what category you want to investigate more in. With Tracy Rennick, I'm Terry Ruffalo.